Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Colwas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker, who is going to talk about how to overcome the challenges of doing research, particularly the strategies. Research journey is very beautiful journey and wonderful journey, but with the same breath I would say that it is challenging as well. You need to learn the proper way of doing it, and you must know the appropriate strategies. So indeed a very interesting topic, and I'm sure in this session you are going to learn new amazing things. So you will get the best insights about all these things, as we have an expert with us in today's this session. So stay tuned, because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Kalwas for arranging such enlightenment sessions, for their support and providing such a wonderful platform. The aim of Kalwas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen, to learn from their experiences, recommendations, suggestions, and tips which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually, as well as to contribute to the world in a positive way. As our slogan is, come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have an amazing person as a guest. She is a versatile person with amazing great qualities, having vast experience and exposure. A well-known international personality, recognized speaker. We always see her while contributing to the field and world in different positive ways. So let me introduce her formally. She's an associate professor at University Technologi Malaysia, Azam Hashim International Business School. She has over 13 years of experience in teaching and supervision. She holds a PhD in Islamic economics from the University of Malaya, MSc in banking, and BBA in finance. Moreover, she is also a certified Islamic financial planner in Malaysia 2019. She completed her postdoctoral research study at International Islamic University, Malaysia. In addition to that, she has also authored and co-authored more than 670 research papers, book chapters for businesses. She is involved in multiple research projects. She conducts workshops, seminars, and attended multiple international and national conferences. Moreover, she has been awarded with a number of academic honors and awards, right from Award of Excellence, Azam Hashim International Business School 2018, winner of 3-minute thesis competition, University Malaya 2013, etc. Last but not the least, she's a wonderful speaker, author, teacher, researcher, professional, and above everything, she's a great human being. So please help me in welcoming our guest, Professor Dr. Maiza. Welcome to the Kalwas platform once again, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Haider, for your very warm introduction about myself. It's great to be here, and thank you for inviting me. So today, I will talk about how to overcome the challenges of doing research, because basically, research is a very, um, a very long process whereby you need to go through from one step to another. So for a postgraduate students, for master, PhD, and DBA students, research is one of the important things that you have to do in order for you to complete your study. So here I am to share with you guys on what are the challenges that you may be currently facing or you are going to face in your postgraduate program, and how you can overcome the challenges in the tips, the strategies, so that you're able to overcome the challenges in a better way, so you may able to manage the challenges well. So Dr. Haider, can you start sharing my screen?
Yes, please.
All right.
Let me just give the reminder to the audience that Prof. Maiza will be presenting, and she would leave the time for question answer session at the end of the presentation. So if you have any question, please write in comment section, or you can email us on info@kalwas.com. Let's get started. Over to you, Prof.
All right, thank you very much. So can we go to the next slides, please? Here is the short introduction about myself. I'm Maizaitulaidawati Husin. My colleagues and friends call me Mai. So as introduced by Dr. Haider, my humble background, I have a PhD in Islamic economics. I did my master in banking and bachelor in finance. So currently I'm the director of business administration in Azman Hashim International Business School. And I held several other positions in the faculty as well previously, such as research manager and so on. So next. Okay, so here what I'm going to share with all of you today. In the first part of this presentation, I will share with you the challenges of doing research. What are you going to face in your postgraduate programs? And in the second part of this presentation, I will share with you how you can overcome the research challenges. And in the last part, I'm going to share with you guys on the research strategy, a guide for finding quality and credible sources, because as we all know, in order for you to move forward, in order for you to come up with your research, to come up with your thesis, your dissertation, so you need a good strategy on how to find the very best, the quality, the credible sources for your thesis. So I will cover that part in the last session. So this presentation will take around 30 to 40 minutes, all right? And then I will open the questions for, I will open the session for question and answer. All right, can we go to the first part? Okay, the challenges of doing research. What are you going to face? What are the difficulties that are you going to, there are many challenges, there are many difficulties that you might face in your along the journey. But if you well prepared, if you know the strategy, of course you will be able to, graduate with flying colors. So what we're gonna do now, I will share with you some of the challenges based on my own experience and based on my observations by handling, handling several students under my supervisions and also throughout my academic career. So can we go to the next slides, Dr. Haider? Okay. Initially, I want you guys to share with me what are the biggest research challenges you are currently facing. So I need you to take a moment, all right, and jot down what are the challenges, the research challenge that you are currently facing, so that by having that in your mind at the moment, we are going to discuss more in details later on what the challenges that you might be facing. And after that, if I don't cover that in my, the challenges that I don't cover in my presentations, you can ask me later so that we're able to discuss in more details. Okay, so can we go to the next slide? All right. Okay. As I mentioned, there are many challenges. I cover several of the challenges that you might also experience the same. So the first things when you are enrolling into a PhD study, people might say that PhD is a very lonely journey. And yes, I would agree with that basically, based on my experience doing, my PhD postdoctoral study as well. It is a very lonely journey, and sometimes it might be stressful as well, you know, because when you are enrolling into a PhD program, when you're conducting the research, you might working alone. I mean, the only the only person in your cycle might be your supervisor, your other supervisees of your supervisor, right? So they might, in your circle, and also other members in the faculties in the university. But when you're conducting a research, the research topic itself, I mean, other persons might research different topics. So when you are going deeper in your research area, you might find that you are all alone in that, in that area, because you don't have someone who you can share about your strategy, for example, about your, about the subject matter as well. So feeling lonely or stressed is one of the difficulties that you might experience in your PhD journey. So this situation sometimes might lead to feeling, in isolations, or you might end up with lack of motivation. But I will share with you guys later on how you can um, encounter these issues in a more proper way. Okay, and the second one is poor time management. So if you're not able to see the big picture, if you're not able to manage your time accordingly, so time management might be one of the issue that you might be facing in your PhD study. Because when you enroll into your PhD program, okay, it's a 3 years program, for example, the minimum of 3 years program. You in the first year, you might feel that, yeah, it's a long way to go. You have a lots of time to complete this a thick thesis, on your own. But once you go through the process, you might find that it's very challenging. And if you're not you know properly manage your time, so you might prolong the process. I mean, you might be able to end up graduate, but you might pass your own timeline. So the time management is the most important thing in a PhD study as well. So lack of motivation, this might, cause stress, life changes, or it's associated with mental health as well, especially when you don't have the right circle, when you don't have the right strategy in order for you to move forward in the PhD journey. So if you're having lack of motivation, sometimes it will also leads to depression, okay, feeling demotivated with your own study. And sometimes people may stop, people may um, stop from their study because of this motivational issue. Okay, so can we go to the next slide, Dr. Haider? Okay, fear of failure, which I think those who are registering in a postgraduate program will experience this. I mean, when you register in your PhD program, in your master's program, for example, you might feel that, am I able to graduate? Am I able to graduate on time? What if I fail to graduate? If you're if you're one of the receiver of a grant or of an award from your um, from sponsorship, for example, from a university, from your country. So it might have cause impact to you. I mean, if you are unable to graduate on time or graduate at all, so you might be, you might have to pay the sponsors back. So the fear of failure is the challenges that you might also face as a student as well. I experienced this because when I did my PhD, I did under the sponsorship program of the university. So at the beginning, I don't have any idea at all about what is research when I joined the PhD program, because I did my master in, I don't have dissertations during my master's program. I did it for master's in coursework. So I don't have any idea about research. So the fear of failure is very strong in my mind. I'm afraid of that failure. But if you're able to manage your study well, so you will be able to, um, face these challenges, and you will be able to identify what might cause the failure, and how you can strategize to ensure that you are not in that position. All right. Okay. And then the challenges number 5 is on limited support. So support is very important. All right. When I mention about support, it includes the financial support. Okay. The social support from your family and friends, from your colleague as well. So support is very important. If you have limited support financially, socially, so this might hinder the development of your the progress of your thesis as well. So you need to make sure that you have a very strong support in order for you to move forward. I will share with you guys later on what you can do in order to encounter these difficulties. Okay. And then lack of research experience, as I mentioned, those who have no or very brief idea about research, you might feel that PhD is a very, difficult, very tough, and you might feel that it is a very difficult journey, especially if you are all alone. You don't have someone to talk to. You don't have the support that you need. So this with this limited experience in a new research idea, especially if the research ideas not come from you, might be come from a supervisor. So you might feel that you might lose somewhere, for example. So this research experience is important. So that's the reason why you need to attend trainings and so on. And I will share with you guys later on how you can, keep moving, move forward, although you have a very limited research experience. Okay, next. So, conducting research actually is a challenge. All right. If you're already enrolled into a PhD program, for example, you might facing these kind of difficulties, or you might hear this word from your supervisor. The 6 keywords, the 6 terms that I mentioned here. For example, oh yeah, your research topic is too broad, or your research topic is too narrow. So, especially when you are in the first semester of your study, when you are in the process of developing developing your own research, come up with your own research topic. Sometimes, if you're an expert in that area, you know that area well. But when you transform it, when you put it in writing, sometimes the informations might not be well understood by the reader, especially your supervisor and the other readers. Okay, so how you're going to how you're going to overcome this issue, I will share with you guys later. All right. Conducting research, especially in terms of the research problems, yeah, the problem statements. This is the among one of the things that I usually say to my supervisor, whereby they don't have a clear research problems. All right. Sometimes they know about that problems. I mean, they know about the issue, but they don't know how to write properly in the, in the thesis. So this might cause difficulty for the examiner, for the supervisor to understand the issues that you are bring in order for you to solve that particular issue. Okay. The third challenges are on how you can come up with a specific gap, how you are going to filling a gap in the literature. That's another challenges in thesis writing. Okay, and then difficulties in getting the data. This is also one of the famous difficulties, I mean, one of the issues that you might be facing in your PhD program, especially in collecting the data, including to get the right participants for your study, and as well as for the analysis. All right. For example, if you're going to um, collect the data from those in organizations, if you don't have the network in that particular organization, so you might have these difficulties in order to get that data that you are wanted. All right. And then difficulties in finding relevant sources to gather the information. So basically, there are strategies, there are ways on how you can gather information, especially the important information for your research. And then the last one is poor technique in organizing and analyze the informations that you have. Sometimes students collecting too much information, they read, but they don't know what are the proper technique on how you can organize, on how you can analyze the informations that you gathered. All right, so I will share with you guys later on in the third part of this section on how you can properly manage the informations that you gather. Okay, can we go to the next slide, Dr. Haider? Okay, I'm sharing with you guys this data, all right, especially if you are currently conducting research during the pandemic. So there is data conducted by UK GCE last year in 2021, whereby students feel that it's challenging, doing research during this pandemic. But if you have a proper strategy, if you have a proper technique, if you know how and why you are facing these challenges, so you will be able to manage your study well, right? Can we go to the next slide? In the next slide, here is the information about stress and satisfaction. As I mentioned earlier, stress is one of the issues that you might be facing throughout your PhD study. And in this study conducted 2 years ago, people, the students, the respondents mentioned that 38% of them saying that their satisfaction level worsened, all right, in their study. And 32% of them declared that their satisfaction level has remained the same. So it depends on how you manage yourself, on how you manage your stress, and what are the difficulties that you are challenging. So if you're able to manage it properly, of course, you will be able to graduate with flying colors. Can we go to the next slide, Dr. Haider? So I'm going to share with you guys on how you can overcome the research challenges. Here are the tips that you can, that you can adopt, that you can use in your study. The first one, can you go to the next slide, Dr. Haider? The first one is basically you need to know how you can manage your research and how you need to manage yourself. All right? Because if you embrace the discomfort of not knowing, okay, and you move from a know it all to a learn it all mindset, you will be able to manage your research. Because sometimes students feel that they know it all, they know what they are studying. So when you receive ideas that might be different from your understanding, you might face, or you might, how I can say this, you might bring the barrier in the communication. Okay, so if you able to manage your research well, and if you able to know from others, you communicate with others as well, so you will be able to manage this issue. And the second one about managing yourself. So if you able to manage your research, you need to manage yourself as well. So how you can do that? There are strategies in the next slide. First, you need to set a clear goals. From the first day you register in your PhD program, you need to start with careful consideration of what you want to achieve, and you will end up with a lot of hard work to actually achieve that. All right. So you need to make a comprehensive plan, a very comprehensive one, what you're going to do throughout your PhD study. And then you need to identify your checkpoints. When you are going to achieve this point, when are you going to achieve the second point? So if you have a clear goal, so you're in the right track. Okay. And the second one is identify the priorities. So um, once you register in your PhD program, you need to know, you need to determine the level of importance and the urgency of each specific task, things, or even that you are facing. All right. So, for example, you know that in order for you to graduate, you need to publish several papers. So, in your checkpoints, you need to jot down when are you going to start, when are you going to publish, when are you going to publish the first paper, the second paper, when are you going to go to the conferences, and the other tasks that assigned to you by your supervisor. Okay, and then the next one, you need to master the literature. This is important. You need to know what you're doing. Okay, you need to collect all the published research in your area, in the area of field, and identify the expert in your area. Okay, for example, if you are doing research in tourism, let's say, so you need to know who are the expert in that area. Okay, you need to identify the papers, the theories in that particular area. So by having that, you know that you are in the right track. In addition to that, by identify the expert in your area, you um, you are basically collecting the latest information, the latest data for your research. And who knows, the expert, that particular expert might be your examiner for your viva. So that's very important, okay, for you to collect the relevant information and to master the literature in your area of field. Okay, and then you need to enhance your skill as well. Because basically PhD is a very long journey whereby you have the opportunity and you need to learn this specific skill in order for you to graduate, in order for you to become a better person. All right, communication skill, writing skill, problem solving skill, all these important skills are necessary, all right, in order for you to graduate with flying cloud colors, all right. Um, Especially when uh, once you graduate, you go back to your let's say you become an academia. So all these skills are very important. Okay. Same goes to if you go back to your institutions. So these skills you can sharpen your skills so that you're becoming a better person. All right, a better version of yourself. All right. So in the next slides, strengthen your support system. So as I mentioned earlier, if you have a weak support system, you might face a very difficult um, uh, progress in your study. So build your bonds with your existing family and friends. Yeah. Don't forget to join, participate in research networks. All right, virtually or physically. Attend conferences. Talk with others. Work in team if possible. All right. If you know your supervisor have several other students working in the same area, so you can work together so that you have a very strong support system. You have someone to share your ideas instead of your supervisor. All right, in addition to your supervisor. And of course, you need to improve your relationship with your supervisor as well. You need to strategize on how you want to approach your supervisor in a proper way, in a better way, so that you have a very harmonious relationship with her or him. And then learn and relearn. Although the subject matter well, so in order for you to succeed, basically you need to have that constant state of adaptation. All right, you need to continuously learning. All right. All right. So in the next slides, I'm sharing with you that you need to take advantage of technology. In this modern world, there are lots of softwares available where you can use, all right, in order for you to keep track what is progressing. I mean, what is your progress? You can always use softwares available in the market, all right, in order for you to move forward in your study. And don't forget to reward yourself for each the checkpoint that you already achieved. All right. So once you acknowledge your achievement, you know that you are progressing. So by rewarding yourself, you make rewards make you feel good and drive you further. Okay. And the last one, in your PhD study, don't stop. All right. Don't stop when you are tired. Stop when you are done. All right. So we are all moving forward at our own pace. Although you're working in the team, all right, sometimes you might feel that your colleagues are moving faster than you, or your competitor, for example, are moving faster than you. But whether you are um, the slow or the faster, I mean, you have your own pace, all right. You need to strategize yourself, all right. And sometimes you might feel that it's exhausting, yeah, throughout this PhD journey. You might face struggles, trials, not only in your research life, but in your own life as well. Yeah, you might face, the family matters as well, and so on. So, your mind, your body, your soul might exhausted, but you make sure that never give up. Okay, you need to move forward. Okay, so in this third section, I'm sharing with you a research strategy on how you can find a quality and credible sources. All right, it's for your literature. I mean, what are the how you can make sure that you're able to identify the quality one, the quality journal papers and so on. I'm not going to share much, but I'm going to share with you the tips. All right. Okay. There are 8 important things. The first one is you need to get organized. Okay. Um, store the informations properly. All right, you can use software. We have EndNote, we have Mendeley, we have Google Drive. All this software, you need to fully utilize it. Get organized in order for you to make sure that you have the informations and you able to get that informations, that paper, for example, whenever you need it. All right, and then articulate your topic. Okay, when you come up with your research, you need to know what are the specific focus of your research. So once you have a dedicated topic, once you know what you're going to do, all right, so you're able to focus and identify what informations that you need to gather. Okay, and then locate background informations, meaning that you need to know what are the terminologies, what are the informations that you need for your research. Okay, and in the next slides, you also need to list the keywords and concept for search engines and database. For example, if you doing research in Islamic finance, for example, your topic is about takaful. All right, so you need to identify what are the keywords in takaful. Sometimes the authors publish, they don't write, they use the word Islamic insurance instead of takaful. So you need to know this. You need to list all the keywords that are relevant for your research, so that you know you have the you cover all the informations that you need. Okay, and then consider the scope of your topics. I mean, the what, why, how, and all the important things in that particular topics. You need to identify that. For example, if you want to understand, if your research is about perceptions, so what are the current issues about perception in Islamic finance, for example? So who are what are the research, the current research about perceptions in Islamic insurance, for example? Okay, so you need to know that in order for you to search the relevant literature. And then conduct your search. There are various database, there are various journals that you can gather the informations. And then the last one is you need to evaluate the information, the sources that you found. Okay, once you collect the information, so you need to read the summary, I mean the abstract. Okay, you need to evaluate whether that information is useful, is relevant for your research. So that by having that, by evaluating the informations that you gathered, you able to understand the topics in more details. Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you very much for your time. So if you have any question, feel free uh, to list it down. All right, and yeah, I'm more than happy to
Yeah.
answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Prof. Maiza. It was so wonderful to have you because the way you explain the things are so wonderful. You make it very easy for all of us to understand it. And I love your idea that you broke it down into three steps and one by one you explained it very nicely and you connect it differently. And I love your PowerPoint slides. I would say that it was simple and it was difficult and heavy loaded as well because I love the so much things and you have covered 80% of the questions because these are the real questions which arises when we do the PhD. And since you have gone through and we have gone through this journey, so we know that it, at different stages, these kind of problem arises. And the research starts and ends with the literature review because if we don't do the extensive literature review, we don't understand what is happening in the field. So we must know the literature review and we have to do it very thoroughly. And then again, learn and relearn. And I love your one point, which is don't stop until you are tried, until you are tired. Stop when you are done. That was so wonderful phrase you have given it. So nicely you have mentioned, and of course followed by the strategies to tackle with that. So, Prof, let us start. Since you have posted a one question for our audience, and they have shared their biggest challenges they are currently facing. So let's get started towards what kind of challenges they are facing. So the first one is the prof. The comment is I think the challenge which I am currently facing is the analysis part. It takes too much time to learn the software to analyze the data. Yes, your comment on that, please.
Okay, yeah, data analysis is, quite challenging, especially if you're not mastering the that that area. So basically, usually my advice to my students is that you need to before you collect the data, I usually advise my students uh, to attend workshop trainings related to the data analysis and trainings on how to use the software as well before you collect the data, so that once you attended that workshop, you have a brief idea on what kind of informations that you are going to gather. I mean, to what kind of data that you are going to collect from the respondents. And once you collected the data, I would advise to attend the workshop once again, so that you have a better idea on how you can analyze the data in a proper way. All right. Um, by attending this workshop twice, you will have a better idea. You will know how you can further analyze the data as well, and not to forget, um, use the technology that we have in order for you to communicate with others, expert in the area, to get advice from them. Okay, yeah, that's my answer for that question.
Very nicely said, Prof. Thank you very much for such a wonderful answer. And Prof, another one is the contribution is a difficult part for me. My examiners are not accepting the contribution of my study, and they say it is very little contribution to the field. Yes, your advice to that, please.
Okay, so contribution of study. So you need to identify what are the what the contributions basically might be divided into several several parts. All right. For example, you might contribute in term of the theory, whereby you enhance the theory that you are adapting. All right, so that's one of the contributions. You might also contribute to the industry, to the policymaker. The new strategy that you are suggesting, that you are recommending, that would be your contribution as well. And then contribution in terms of methodology. Okay, let's say for example, the methods that you use might be the new method that you adopt in your area. That would be your contribution as well. So in order for you to identify what are your contributions, you need to know your gap as well. That's the reason why in my slides, I mentioned that one of the challenges is to identify the gap. But if you know the gap in your research, you know where is your contributions, where you can focus. All right, so that's
Yes.
important.
Very nicely said, and very nicely you have connected how can you translate towards the research contribution. Very nicely, Prof. Prof, another we have the question, which is the how do we decide which philosophy is best for your research? Yes, please.
Okay, philosophy. All right. How I'm going to answer this. All right. You need to know that in order for you to identify the research philosophy, okay, you need to know the content of your research well. All right. Sometimes, based on my experience, sometimes students they you know um, they don't really understand the connection between one part of research to another. All right. um, for quantitative and qualitative research, the process might be different. All right, it's totally different. Frankly speaking, it's totally different. All right, so qualitative research, quantitative research is different. So if you're able to identify at which, what is the content, what is the focus of your research, what are the steps that you are going to to achieve to get the findings to achieve at the end of your study, so you will be able to identify the philosophy of your research. All right, because I understand that usually during the viva, during the proposal defense, the examiners usually will ask, what are your research philosophy? So uh, this is the one of the questions that students really able to answer it right, because they don't really understand the structure. I mean the flow of their research well. Okay, so you need to understand, and then you refer back the different uh, the different of research philosophy from one to another, and then you'll be able to find one which is equivalent to your study, which is the the essential part of your study. Okay.
Yes, yes, Prof. Very nicely said. And you have given a wonderful suggestion that they need to understand the appropriate structure, the content of their study, the nature of the study, and then it can be decided accordingly. Very nicely said, Prof. And one another question which is you have already addressed in your presentation as well. The question they have they have answered your question to the biggest challenge which they are facing is they have mentioned that to cope with stress is the big issue for me. And we agree with that. Okay, yes, Prof. We have another very interesting answer to your question, and that is my supervisor doesn't give me that much time as he is very busy. So I'm doing it by my own. What to do? Yes, Prof.
Okay, all right. Um yeah, managing a supervisor is very, you know, uh it's a very unique, because different person have different strategy. Different people have different opinion. Different people have different perceptions and so on. So you need to understand your supervisor well, all right? Especially if your supervisor is someone who are holding administrative positions in the faculty, the dean, for example, the deputy dean, you know they are very busy, all right? So what you can do is that um, you need to keep them informed what you are currently doing. Okay, you need to report to them your progress. All right. I usually would advise students to at least email or communicate with supervisor several times in a semester, all right, once a month, for example, to make sure that supervisors are not forgetting you, because they have a very, sometimes when they are loaded with all those administrative works, with all other works, sometimes they might forget about you. They might lost because they don't know what is happening, all right, to your research. So um you need to approach them, all right, before you have a meeting with them. You can email them first your progress, your thesis, all right, give them time to read, to and give suggestions before you having a supervisory meeting. Okay, so yeah, a different you need to approach different people differently based on their based on their attitudes and so on. So you should be able to manage your supervisor well. And of course, in order for you to know your supervisor, you need to communicate with them. You need to ask them what is
Mhm.
the preferences and not. Okay.
Yeah, very nicely said, Prof. And you have pointed out very important thing, that is that you must understand the other responsibilities of your supervisor as well, if he or she holds the administrative duties, because these are very busy people, and we do understand it requires times and attention. Very nicely you have given your suggestions. Prof, one another answer to your question, which you have already covered in your presentation as well, but just for your information, I'm reading it. That comment is that I have two big problems. One is my finding the relevant literature, and secondly, the finding the right instruments. So that gentleman is actually stuck in this two kind of problem in literature review. We have another question for you. This gentleman wants to ask that how do find another researcher who is doing research in the same field, especially when you are not attending the university? Yes, please.
Okay. Right. So how you will find another researcher in your subject matter, in your area? So basically, the strategy is that once you collecting the literature in your area, all right, you might experience, or you might aware that the same person might publish papers in the same area uh, more than several times. So you know that that person is the expert in the area. So what you can do is that currently we have lots of you can use LinkedIn, you can use ResearchGate, you can use Facebook, Instagram to communicate with that researcher. All right. So basically, um, what you can do is that once you identify uh, a person, several persons who are publishing the same papers in the same area several times, so you know they are the researchers in the same area. So what you can do, communicate with them, or because sometimes you might need their help. For example, later on throughout the progress of your thesis, you might need to approach them in order to get the informations about their questionnaire, for example, or you might need their help uh, to give idea about your findings, or you might inviting them, you might collaborate with them to publish a paper together. All right, so that's important for you to know the researchers in your area. So you use the technology that we have. All right.
Yes, Prof. Very nicely said, Prof. Thank you very much for elaborative answer. One last question, Prof, and it's very interesting question. That question has been emailed to us yesterday. The question is, Prof, please guide us. Do you think that personality matters in the academia in terms of researcher? Yes, please.
Personality, yes, of course. Personality very matters, especially when, academia is a very small world, all right? Wherever you go, uh, you might, cross with the same persons more than twice, for example. Especially when, let's say that you want to enter the academia world after you're graduating. So you might need recommendation from others. So the personality that you bring during your PhD study might, attracting, give that will be your strength. The someone might recommend you because of your personality. All right. Although you are sometimes people feel that once if you're graduating with flying colors, with graduating on time, and then you publish many papers, and that's it. But basically, personality is also important. All right, because yeah, as I mentioned, academia is a very small world. You might cross the same persons in the networking sessions, in the conferences, in the in other universities and so on. So you need to make sure that you're able to um, handle yourself. Yeah, the personality, maintain the
Yes.
personality.
Yeah. Wonderful answer. And thank you very much for such a wonderful explanation, elaboration, and I would say the great presentation, the great content which you have already elaborated. So wonderful, Prof. What is, Prof, your message to the world as a teacher, researcher, trainer, learner, professional, and educator? Yes, please.
Okay. Um, how I can say this? So basically, as an academia, as a teacher, as a researcher, all right, you need to make sure that wherever you are, you contribute back to the community, yeah, to the industry, wherever you can. Okay. I mean, um, we need to make sure that we have contributions to others, whether it's big, whether it's small, at least someone able to learn from us. We able to contribute to them, and we able to ensure that someone uh, able to progressing, able to live their life because of our advice, our contributions and so on.
Yes, Prof. Very nicely said, Prof. What a wonderful message you have given to the world. It means that we have a great responsibility and we have to work very responsible in a responsible manner. So, really wonderful, Prof. And I would say that indeed, how to overcome the challenges of doing the research, the strategies. Dr. Maiza has shared a wonderful content and the presentation as well. So do follow the distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Maiza, through her research work, and you can email her for future learning and guidance. She is very generous and always ready to help the people. Moreover, wonderful explanation and powerful content which Dr. Maiza has already elaborated. will help you to learn and develop your sound understanding regarding doing research. So that's all we have time for today. Thank you once again, Dr. Maiza. And also, I would like to thank our audience who join us. If you have any additional question about the information shared today, please email to us or connect to the speaker directly through her email address or social media. Thank you all for your support and liking our sessions. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session. Until next session, take care.